Hey everybody, it is Prince's Friend, and I am back with the first official review of the week. This is Love Symbol Album Week, and yesterday we talked about the contract that kind of led into this album. This time we're into the Love Symbol album. Now this album was released on October 13th of 1992, and he had signed the 1992 contract, I believe at the end of August, early September, I think it was announced. So this album came out a month after that contract was announced and signed. So it was already kind of on the books. So this was Prince's 14th official studio album, and it's an epic rock opera. There's a story here on this album, too, about Prince falling for an Egyptian princess and the scandal of her being so much younger than he is. And there's more to the story, but you only really get that if you have also seen the 3 Chainz of Gold movie, which I'll be reviewing tomorrow. There was only one major band switch up here on this album, and that was that Rosie Gaines left to pursue solo stuff, and Maite joined the band as a dancer, and vocalist. She does speak, and she does, some of her sexy voices and blah, blah, blah. She also sings a little bit of backup here and there, but, for the most part, I don't think that she brings as much to the group as Rosie did. I love Rosie's voice, but she added a certain flair, a certain visual flair to the MPG that Rosie Gaines didn't give, obviously. So not everybody knows this, but actually Prince wasn't the first person to name an album a symbol. Most famously, Led Zeppelin did this with their Symbol album, and some people call it Runes, and some people call it Led Zeppelin 4, but it's kind of like how the Love Symbol, it's just kind of what we call it. It's not actually called the Love Symbol album, it's actually called that thing. So it doesn't technically have a pronunciation, but you gotta call it something. I do want to talk a little bit about the Love Symbol itself, because anybody who's been paying attention, this isn't a new symbol for Prince. It's kind of been around for a while. I think the first time that I ever actually noticed it was in Purple Rain. It's the symbol that's kind of on his motorcycle there, but it was pretty much everywhere during Love Sexy and Graffiti Bridge, and then now obviously it's taking center stage on, this album cover, and I think that the addition of the swirl is new for this, but I think that it's an amazingly complex kind of image, but also really pretty. This was something I found kind of interesting in the liner notes, like in the booklet. There were actually little messages that he wrote in the little booklet. They are backwards, and they're written in very small kind of scribbly text, but if you read them, they say things like, Prince likes to hug, or may you live to see the dawn, have you had your plus sign today, or don't buy the Black Album. So as if on purpose, Prince's decision to make the unpronounceable album basically baffled most people trying to promote the album, which led to less sales because they were like, what do we call this? I don't know how to catalog this. I don't know how to tell people to buy it. Also, the first single off of the album was Sexy MF, which meant it couldn't really be played on the radio, and it really hurt the initial sales that the album really needed to be a huge success, and then it just ended up being a very big success, but it still wasn't as big as it could have been. Now, despite the low sales, the album actually charted pretty darn well. It hit number 5 in the US and Germany, it hit number 4 in New Zealand and Switzerland, and it hit number 1 in Austria, Australia, and the UK. So it did pretty darn well. And there's a reason for that. The Love Symbol, remains one of my favorites to date. Even though Diamonds and Pearls was great, this album was the one to really kind of conquer my adolescent mind. I played this album constantly when I got it. I used to play it everywhere with me. I had a little CD Walkman that I bring everywhere. And I would sing out loud like crazy. So I would be singing while I was doing laundry, or while I was walking to the store, or at the bus stop, and people would look at me like I was crazy, but I was enjoying the music that much. Like, wherever I was listening to this album. And just like any album that has a lot of tracks, there's going to be one or two that aren't necessarily your favorite. You might skip them every so often, but I think as a whole, this album is a masterpiece. So let's get to the tracks, and I will show you what I mean.
My name is Prince, and I am funky. My name is Prince, the one and only. Hurt me. Hurt me.
off on, mostly because what it does is it depicts the public's view of Prince, not necessarily who Prince is. So the public sees him as the sex-fueled maniac who's coming for your daughters, and the screams in the chorus are classic Purple Rain type hoots that he would kind of let out, the ow, you know, those sorts of things, and it harkens back to like the days when he was more popular. Then of course the lesson to be learned from this is that the money and the possessions won't buy you happiness, almost like it's declaring that Warner's can basically throw as much money as they want at him, but he's not really for sale. About halfway through, Tony M takes over, and while the rap's not bad, I think the song loses a little bit of momentum when it gets to his part, but then it kind of picks it up again at the end when he's done rapping. My Name Was Prince is the second single off of the album, and actually got to number 5 in the UK, number 36 in the US, so again, we're looking at the UK being very supportive of Prince, where the US not so much. And this has been a continuous trend if you've seen all the rest of my reviews that I've done for Prince albums. The UK just seems to love Prince more.
You sexy motherfucker. We need to talk about things. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you eat. I might cook for you. See, it really don't matter, cause it's all about me and you. Ain't no one else around. I'm even with the blindfold, gagged and bound. I don't mind. See, this ain't about sex. It's all about love.
This is one of those songs where Prince loads the chorus with something that's really dirty to get people talking and get people going, oh my god, I can't believe he said that. But then the song itself is actually about something else entirely. The other biggest culprit that I can think of off the top of my head is P Control, where, again, the lyrics of the song have nothing to do with the chorus of the song. The lyrics here are actually about coming together on a higher plane than physical, and really finding a true soulmate. In the storyline, it's about Prince meeting the princess for the first time, and his first reaction is kind of how fine she is. But seriously, this song is so funky, and the horn accents during the chorus are just amazing. I love Levi's solo, and Tony M's shaking that ass, shaking that ass. I think it just makes the song so much more amazing. It's like a big, grandiose song. Sexy MF was released before the Love Symbol album was officially released, but obviously was edited for radio play. Listen to what the chorus sounded like.
You sexy mother. We need to talk about.
So the single got to number 66 in the US. So I'm not really surprised by that. It did get to number 5 in the UK though, because they're not as uptight. So Love to the Nines was always like that song that I loved because Prince sang it entirely in his falsetto, and it was a challenge for me to sing it as well, as good as he did, and especially the runs at the end. I think it really shows off the magnificence of Prince's higher register, like seriously. In the storyline, Love to the Nines is Prince trying to get the princess to profess her love for him plainly instead of in riddles. Then the song switches gears about halfway through, pretty strikingly, honestly, and it turns into Prince rapping and then Tony M interviewing Maite for the position of Prince's lover. I find it interesting that she says her name is Arabia in the song, because in her memoir she actually said that Prince wanted to start calling her Arabia, and she was just like, hell no, I'm not gonna go by Arabia. But I guess this was the test run. The song delivers two completely different sounds, which could be bad or disjointed if done by anybody else besides Prince. I think that this track is a crazy good track.
Oh, just how far was a walk for the morning papers? Let me play it for you one time.
So the morning papers chronicles the courtship of the prince and the princess, and it's actually the first real mention of the age difference between them, but also professes that it doesn't matter. It's all just love. The guitar solo on this is amazing, especially mixed with the horn arrangement. It's one of the coolest and yet laid-back songs, just like I said before, because it escalates into like this huge rock ballad, and it's just such an amazing song. When I saw him perform it on the Arsenio Hall show, I was blown away. So this one's just good all around.
I go, yo baby, tell me where the party's at. Hey yo baby, I wanna suck with the cards in that stack. Swing your dance if you want to, but I might break your back. Mofo for your butt, you can bet on that.
They tell me to walk a straight line.
So the Max is a really fun dance track. It's about how you need to push harder to overcome life's challenges. I love the "oh yeah, yeah" that pops in and out throughout the song. Tony M is used on the track, kind of like how he's used on Get Off, kind of just to add a little sex to the chorus. And like, you know, this one he's like, "I want to shuffle the cards in that stack," and stuff like that. I think it's a great line. He got actually a couple of really good lines in this song. In the storyline, this reflects the income of all the hate the prince and the princess are getting for being together because of their age difference. And I believe that the line in the song where he says, "When they start making up a crazy rule, that's when I break a back," I think that line is at Warner's, because again, they made up that crazy rule that he couldn't have any double or triple albums, even though he just signed a contract. But yeah, this is one of those songs where you can just kind of throw it on and you just start dancing, and it's amazing. And I think that the piano additions are especially great.
Like it in the dark, but I like a blue light. Can you turn on a blue light? Then cuddle up to me so tight. Just you and me all night, blue light. Can you turn on a blue light?
So after the brief appearance of Kirstie Alley as Vanessa Bartholomew and Prince hanging up on her, we get into Blue Light. And this was the last song that was added to the album, and the reason that we have fewer segues on the album as a whole is because they needed to cut some of those down to make room for the song. It's about how he's with a shy woman who wants to make love in the dark, whereas he would rather have a bright blue light shining on them. In the storyline, this is basically the first part of a two-part explanation of how Prince and the princess aren't as compatible as they might have thought at the start. Eric Leeds throws some sax on this track, and it's nice. He doesn't get a chance to like really get down and like dirty like he normally does. It's really good, and it's actually one of Prince's rare reggae-inspired tracks. It is a good song. I wouldn't say that it's one of my favorites, but it is a good song.
Slow, slippery, groovy, if we bathe in each other's hips. In other words, get close enough to stick, and I'll melt with you, and you can melt with me too. And we grew and grew until the earth moves.
I want to melt.
And then we get to the second part of their relationship, and this time it's about how Prince likes his sex. He likes it dirty and funky, and this electronic track is pretty awesome in explaining that without saying it really. This is one of those great club songs, in my opinion. The beat is super danceable. It's suggestive enough to get people in the mood and get them grinding and bumping on the dance floor. The lyrics of "slow and slippery, groovy, if we bathe," it's amazingly sexy, and you can tell that they just kind of had fun making this track. Like, it feels fun. Of course, even if it would have gone on to be a big song for the band, the video is laced with so much nudity that it would never get on TV.
Sweet baby, hold your tears back now. Better days gonna come your way soon. Oh yeah, sweet baby, some way, somehow.
So after seeing the issues in their relationship, Prince and the princess, they split up, leaving the princess sad. And this song is a comfort song for her, asking her to stand up despite how bad she might feel. And it's a sweet song, and I think it's an important song for the story. But for me as a listener, it kind of breaks up the flow of the album itself. It's a really soft track, and it's between I Want to Melt With You and the Continental, which are both just kind of big, enormous songs. And it messes with the momentum for me. Luckily, this is the only real place on the album where that occurs. I think it's a good song, so there's no real complaints on the song Sweet Baby, but it does kind of mess up the flow a little bit.
Whatever come forward after me is yin yang. Why settle for a star when you can have the sun? Come on, let me do you like you want to be done.
So in the story, this is Prince boasting himself up and trying to leave thoughts of the princess behind, even trying to fill the hole in his heart with meaningless sex. This song is about how awesome he is and how he's basically the perfect choice for anyone. Nothing's better than him. So first off, I love this song. It's rockin', it's funky, it's sexy, it's funny. Continental basically has all the elements that make this one basically a perfect Prince song. And the second half of the song is called Do You Like You Wanna Be Done? And it's about that meaningless sex that I was talking about before. It features a young protege by the name of Carmen Electra talking sexily into the mic.
I want you to imagine you're making angels, angels in the snow, and kiss 100 revolutions, nice and slow. Then I see you on the beat, do a death strip.
I always thought that the second half of the song ran a little bit longer than I wanted, but it's still very enjoyable. And on my subsequent listens for the review, I didn't ever had that issue listening to it now, but I did back when I was listening to the album a lot, so maybe just a shift in focus, I think, for me. And even if I still had that issue, it's such a minor gripe, because the Continental became my fast favorite on the album and has remained one of my favorite Prince songs to date. It is just such a good song.
You're so fine. Seems to happen to me each and every time we make love.
And then we get to probably one of the best Prince love songs ever, Damn You. And yes, it wasn't in my top 5 that I put in the top 5 love songs that we did. However, it is so good. This is his song lamenting the loss of the princess and realizing that he really can't live without her. It's cool and it's bluesy, and Prince sings it softly, but maximizes on just about every part of his range. He sings it low, he sings it high. It's really, really good track. At the end of the song, he says, that one was dedicated to the lovers, and now this one's dedicated to the whores. And by whores, he means the paparazzi and the press and all of the negative press that he would be getting, all the journalists out there, and anyone basically talking smack about Prince. Kirstie Alley comes in again and she screams, "Why are you so arrogant?" And again, we get to another song that I'm just such a fan of. It's a really quick song, but it's a great one for explaining Prince's arrogance, or what basically people are calling arrogant. What it really is Prince's self-confident, and that people mistake that for arrogance. So what makes a man want to play guitar? Arrogance. What makes him want to admit that he's 50-50 girl? Arrogance. What makes him want to be famous? Well, obviously arrogance, right? For the story, this is Prince forgetting about what people will say about his relationship with the princess and just deciding to go for it. Another arrogant move, mind you.
Just like you're supposed to do. Rock to the envelope,
No, I ain't gonna kill you, man. Shoot that bitch.
Just give me the beat, 'cause I'm in the fall, and people long. I have no bubble, and the joke is too difficult.
So then it turns out that he actually had 2 songs for the press. This song is directed right at them, where he's saying he doesn't care about what they say about him, he's just gonna do him. Prince takes the first verse in the track, whereas Tony M comes in on the second verse, and I actually really like the horn arrangement near the end of this track, like, a lot. It's overall a pretty successful rap track on an album mostly devoid of, like, really good rap tracks. Prince had kind of figured out how to use Tony M as more an accent than as a headliner by this point. Also, I just want to say this, and this has nothing to do with anything, but Tony M really loves to spell things. Anyway, in the story, this is Prince and the princess are together again, and they're being hunted by the paparazzi, which then brings us to 7.
All 7 and we'll watch them fall. They stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with an intellect and a savoir-faire. No one in the whole universe will ever compare.
So, on the surface, 7 is actually a pretty simple song. Most of the song is driven by Prince's cool acoustic guitar, his harmonies, and a simple drummer's beat kind of behind him. For the story, this is Prince and the princess finally at peace with each other, moving on to live together in one of their many lives. The meaning of the song, though, has been highly debated by many, and I'm not really here to tell you what the answer is, but I'm going to go through just a couple of them just so you can kind of get a feel for all the different theories. And let me be clear that it seems pretty obvious that it was written to have multiple meanings, so they could all be right, or none of them could be right, who even knows? So I think that the 7 could mean the 7 deadly sins and how they'll defeat all of the negativity with their intellect. It obviously touches on past lives, so maybe the line in the interview with Vanessa Bartholomew where he says he's on his 5th soul now, maybe that means that Prince knows that maybe he has 2 more lives in him before he'll reach perfection. In the video, Prince was not only killing evil executives, of which there were rumored to be 7 in the boardroom when he signed his infamous 1992 contract, but he was also striking down 7 different versions of himself, throwing away his past and kind of resetting himself for a new future. So it could be that the 7 was actually himself, so I think there's just way too many variations on these theories for anybody to know the real truth, but I can't wait to hear what you guys say in the comments. I'd love to hear all the different theories.
Bone of my bones, and God created woman, and we were naked and did not care. There's a time to take and a time to share, doing love all around.
And God Created Woman is a sweet song about Adam and Eve. Prince and the princess are finally together, and it's like they're the new Adam and Eve and starting over this new world for themselves. I think it's a great soul track with the backing of the trumpets that really, really makes it shine. He would go on to play with these same kind of themes with other songs like The Greatest Romance Ever Sold, but I think this one is a great one, and it's all about togetherness. Takes the whole album that we've heard and condenses all the emotion and the drama into about 5 minutes. It doesn't really have just one melody. It starts over and over with different segments of the song. It's got a wicked guitar solo in the middle, and this is one of those tracks where I think Prince really excels. But a lot of critics really panned it and said this song was basically trash. Yet, I like a big musical finale feel to it. Like, this feels like the end of Les Mis or the end of Miss Saigon, and it's just like big and it's epic, and like if this was the last song on the track, I would have been happy and I would have been, oh, that was amazing. But luckily for me, that wasn't even the end of the album.
Okay, so why are you giving me an interview?
Because I want you
Pardon me?
to tell the truth.
Oh, well, I will if you will. For example, The first song of your opera.
The opera.
Why don't you tell me your real name?
My name is Victor.
That is not the truth, and you know it.
This is the really,
How old are
like,
you?
kind of meaty part of the interview series with Kirstie Alley. This time, Prince calls her and wants to tell the truth. She confronts him about the princess's age and starts threatening him, and he's kind of playing around with her and not really giving her any straight answers. So the track actually does a good job of kind of depicting the press as like vultures and people looking to come after Prince, but it also does a good job of showing how Prince kind of manipulates the media a little bit and kind of messes with them. So it's a good segue into the final track there. She asks him to tell the truth, and that's exactly what she gets.
Toy for sale down on the corner. Out on my block, I'm just alone now. Tell me. A sacrifice. Shut up, down with it.
Now we get to the sacrifice of Victor. We've left the story of the 3 Chains of Gold and everything behind, and now this is Prince's autobiographical song. It's a crazy funky song, first off, and it features the Steels singing in the background. He sings about his bad upbringing, his epilepsy, the child abuse, even talks about Dr. King and the black community. It's like a heavy kind of political song and an emotional song about his life, and it's a great one to end on. It's got so much emotion and energy in it. It wasn't long after this album was released that Prince announced that he would go by another name, and a lot of people who had heard this thought that it was going to be Victor, but there was another segue where Maite is speaking, and she says, I asked him what his name was, and I asked if it was Victor, and he said no, but he is victorious with me by his side. So if you've seen 3 Chains of Gold, and you know it wasn't going to be Victor, but they still didn't tell you what it was going to be until the 3 Chains of Gold video, so they were kind of keeping that secret. But honestly, Sacrifice of Victor, it's the perfect ending of this album, especially with the final screams at the end, just epic. So, in conclusion, so if you know me, you know that I'm a sucker for a story on an album, even if it's thin. The story on the love symbol is definitely there, but it takes a bit of deciphering to really get it. Good thing I'm here to help you guys with that. From beginning to end, though, this album is amazing. A lot of people said that this was Diamonds and Pearls Part 2 because it had a lot more pop sounds and stuff like that, but I would actually disagree with that. The Love Symbol album had a much harder edge to it, whereas Diamonds and Pearls was more cool and relaxed and dancey. But with tracks like 7, My Name is Prince, The Continental, Damn You, Sexy MF, Morning Papers, like I could just list them all, and they're all just amazing songs. This album would get a 5 out of 5 for me, as again, it has remained one of my favorite Prince albums throughout the years, even though he has come out with other amazing experiences. But what do you think of the Love Symbol album? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know what your favorite track is. While you're at it, don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. We've now also started our Instagram. Don't forget to support the channel at patreon.com/princessfriend. May you live to see the dawn.